I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I do not expect to be forgiven. QNAME, your turn, except this time we're looking at the comments on the complete history of emulation. Here are the comments. And thank you for your privacy during this hard time. Nice quality video! It's what I'm known for. I must say though, that the title is sort of misleading. No way! A 17-minute YouTube video isn't the complete history of emulation, despite the fact that the title says the complete history of emulation, even though you kind of touch over the major parts of emulation that needs to be known anyway? It should have probably been more like the history of emulation on console, or something like that. I only talk about emulation on console for the first 6 minutes of the video. You didn't watch the whole video, and neither did the 13 other people that liked the comment. You know there's timestamps in the description that tell you that the video isn't fully about emulation on consoles. Unless you meant like me talking about PC emulation and like virtual machines. Is that emulation? I don't know if that is that it. I don't know how that works. But I do talk about emulation on PC. I talk about Yuzu, and I talk about the Kinect thing, and I talk about the Bleem, although I mainly talk about the Dreamcast part of it, but that was on PC too. Talk about Dolphin, RetroArch, pretty much the basics. You can use the GameCube controller on Virtual Console games. I do this all the time, and it's the first way I played Mario 64. You don't do it all the time, because I literally said verbatim in the video that you can't play Virtual Console games with a GameCube controller. But I wish that you could. You can play GameCube games on the Wii with a GameCube controller. That's actually the only way you can play GameCube games on the Wii. But you do mention Mario 64. Maybe, I don't think so, but maybe you can do that on the Wii U? But I don't think that either. On the Switch you can, because the GameCube controller pretends it's a Pro controller, so you can play both the 3D All-Stars version and the Switch Online version of Mario 64 with a GameCube controller, but not on the Wii. And then the Nintendo 64 wasn't on the 3DS, so I don't think I need to mention that. The title is a bit misleading. This comment is a bit of an understatement. I mean, not really. It kind of touches over the complete history. I mean, did you really want the literally every part of emulate? It wouldn't have been that exciting, I'm telling you. There's not... It would have been like, yep, so they made an Atari emulator, then they made an NES emulator, and then they made a SNES emulator called NXNES, SXSNES, or something like that. And then there was the Bleem stuff, and then there was Dolphin, which I do talk about, but there was the early days of Dolphin where it only really kind of ran like Wind Waker, but it's not really well. And Luigi's Mansion. And then, you know, I do talk about Yuzu, and I know there's a lot of comments like, why didn't you talk about Ryu Jinx, which is another Switch emulator, because I didn't know it existed. And why didn't you talk about the forks of Yuzu, because I wrote it a day after the whole, like, lawsuit thing happened. So, sorry. But, you know. 3DS ambassadors got Game Boy Advance games, so it was absolutely possible. I think this comment missed my entire point about the Game Boy Advance games. For the record, the ambassador games I have on here, this isn't an ambassador 3DS. I got it a few months after that thing shut down. But I did hack them on. But they are the ambassador versions of the games. I did make a copy of Pokemon Leaf Green. That's not official, fair. But what I'm saying is, all of these games, so if you want to play Mario Kart Super Circuit, notice how it doesn't come up with the normal 3DS thing, and it's just that. And then when you press the home button, it comes up there. That's what DS games do as well, right? Because it's running It's just it runs natively on the 3DS. But it's possible to do Game Boy Advance emulation because if you go to the Universal Updater on Homebrew, there is MGBA, which is a Game Boy Advance emulator. So you can run them natively, which is what they did for the GBA Virtual Console, but you can also run it off an emulator. That was what I was saying in the video. I don't think you were paying attention. Ambassador Games is specifically the example I bring up. So, there were a lot of comments that I don't think actually paid attention to what I said and just comment something and it's like, yeah, I know. Literally verbatim what I said in the video, which is the case with the next comment and final comment. No, it's not. I have one more comment. I just realized I haven't saved it because I posted it in a Discord because the comment got deleted. Okay, hold on. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm taking, this episode is like well over a month after the episode came out. Unless you're a member, then you're watching it like on the same day that episode 218 comes out. But if you're not a member and you're watching this episode now, which is probably most of you, I wanted to leave enough room between the main video and this one because I didn't want to be like, seem like I'm angry over the comments. I'm not. I thought it was funny. So, you know. Anyway, Yuzu was taken down because they've released a version on the Patreon that had bug fixes for non-existent games that had to be obtained through piracy. That's why they didn't take down Ryu X, which is not what that's called, but I know what you mean. I mentioned the Patreon in the video because I use that, me mentioning the Patreon, it's in a green screen section. I remember exactly where it is. It's in one of the green screen sections where behind me is my own Patreon because I say something like, this is where they needed money to support the content that they were doing, and that was like a subtle plug to my Patreon. And then there's an info card that appears at the same time that is a link to the Patreon. I talk about it in the video is what I'm saying. I remember writing it into the script thinking, this is how I promote my Patreon. So, watch the video before commenting. Yeah, I don't mention it was for bug fixes for non-existent games, but I don't think I need to say that. Finally, this comment did get deleted, but I did take a screenshot of it. New gaming YouTubers gotta stop blatantly ripping off Scott the Woz. It's distracting. You know, if you said that throughout Season 1, or on any Chilek upload, that's a fair criticism. Because that's what it was. Scott, I mentioned it in the demos episode, where I say, hey, all Scott here, while holding Madden 08. But the emulation video, that was inspired by a Tamigo 24/7 full video, man. And the Pokemon Leaf Green legacy. Oh, but that's not the name of the video. The Pokemon Leaf Green experience is based off that series. That was the way I styled that video. Because that video was styled off of a Tamigo 24/7. Whatever, you get the idea. The only thing that's similar to Scott the Woz, I guess, is the background. This is something I talked about it with a few people. And this was pretty much the only thing that they could find. It was like, honestly, I bet he didn't get past 30 seconds into the video. I bet he saw this and heard the way he said emulation and packed it up then and there. Yeah, I don't think you watched the video. Because I did the whole green screen thing. I literally was, I don't know. I wasn't really inspired by him. I went back after I uploaded the video to watch Scott's emulation video. I guess the structure's the same, but not really at the same time. And it's like, yeah, I have my face to the right, and then a bunch of wacky props. Granted, all of these props have, like, references to stuff in my videos. Or, fun little reference, don't know. I've never mentioned this before. This is a if you remember, you already know this. So on this Bowser that's in the background, there's something hidden on his back. There's a Tamigo 24/7 4 keychain. It's been there since the start of Season 2. I don't think you can notice it, because you can barely see Bowser to begin with, but it's there. So that is all the comments for today. But I have a question for you. Give me some lyrics. I will provide music for you. We will make song together. Capiche?
コメントはディスコードサーバーにおいて好きなコメントを選ぶよ次回の QNAME
Link is in the description to the previous episode. Or here's a clip. Q&A me? What would you bring to a private art? No, that's not the question. Q&A me? If you were stranded, what's the question? Q&A me? What would you bring if you were stuck on a desert island? Here are your answers. Your mother. Okay, we're off to a good start.